everybody. My name is Richard Kahn. I'm the co-founder and CEO of ANURA.io. We're an ad fraud solution. We're pretty much a visitor firewall. And today we're going to talk about 5 new threats that will kill your 2024. So first thing I want to do is frame what the fraud problem is. So last year in 2023, we're probably somewhere around $525 billion in digital marketing spend globally. And last year is estimated right now to be around $125 billion. That's a big problem. If you look at this chart that I have here, you can see that fraud accelerated over the last couple of years for a variety of reasons. But you can see it started off back in the 2014-15 era when fraud was really starting to be tracked across different channels. And it kind of hummed along at a small level, small being a couple billion, 5, 6, 7 billion a year. And then around 2018, it started to multiply fast and it's growing out of control. A lot of people are getting involved in it. You get a lot of smart people that are trying to figure out how to steal marketing dollars from advertisers, and they're becoming very successful at it. So again, fraud being 125 billion this year, it's a big problem. And we're talking about now, it's no longer a question of if you have fraud, it's a question of how much fraud you have. A lot of people think it's not going to affect them. It's not what we're seeing. Everybody's affected to some degree. Just a matter of what percentage of fraud you're seeing. So we're going to talk about 5 threats. There's a lot of different things going on, but we'll talk about 5 of them today, just to give you an idea of what's happening and what's coming, especially this year and beyond. So first, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence. It's been the buzzword for the last couple of years, and it's making its way, obviously, into the fraud market. Right now, if you wanted to, you can go onto the dark web and buy a product called Fraud GPT. It'll actually write the bot for you. So if you're not a developer, you can actually tell the bot what you want it to do, and it'll commit everything from cybersecurity attacks to ad fraud attacks. And it writes the code for you. All you got to do is implement it. So these tools are getting smarter and smarter and making it more and more difficult to identify fraud. It is important that you have some type of strategy in your arsenal to defend against the fraud. So one of the things I like to tell clients also is, how do you identify, that you have a fraud problem? Just looking at your own data. And start putting this together for the 5 different effects, and it's kind of the same thing for all of them. It's really watching the money. Where's the money going? Is the back-end performance working? Are you getting calls of people that are not sure who you are? They didn't fill out your form. People logging into your system that are doing some weird behavior. These are the kinds of things that you can look at your own data. It's time-consuming, but it's important to look at it and identify where it's coming from. So if you start seeing oddities in your own data set and money that you're spending, it's time to look deeper and look at the log files and start identifying where this is coming from. The next thing we've been seeing on the rise is residential proxies. So what is a residential proxy? So everybody nowadays has cable modems at home, fast internet at home, and some people or lots of people are going out and downloading free VPN services. And buried in the terms and conditions, it says that they can actually use your connection while your device is connected for other purposes. So there are a bunch of networks out there, and these are just 3 of them that I came up on a quick search, that sell this product. They allow you to bounce your connection off of somebody else's personal residential modem. So why is this important? If I want traffic to look like it's coming from a certain geography, I can now get an IP address from that city and bounce off of that. So let's look at like a lead generation atmosphere. You generate a lead, and I say, I'm from Middletown, Delaware. So I put in somebody puts in my information to save money on car insurance. They can bounce that connection off of a Middletown IP address so that when I get the data in and do a quick scan, the IP address matches the data, everything looks good. They have my name, my phone number, my email address, everything matches. Right away it goes off to a call center. They make the call, get me on the phone, if they get me on the phone, and I didn't fill out the form. That's a problem. So they're using these VPNs for a lot of other things too, but this is just one example of what they can take advantage of on these things. So, we always say, nothing in life is truly free, and that's what these services are doing. They're giving you out this technology, and you can actually go to these services now and buy tens of millions of unique IP addresses across the country. So it's out there in a big way. So if they want to route IP addresses and spoof IP addresses all day long, this tool makes it easy for them to do it. So again, what to look for, traffic behaviors. If you're a lead generation company, people that are telling you that they didn't fill out the form, maybe it's hard to reach them because they didn't fill out your form, they're not expecting your call. So again, it's always going to your back-end data. It's always looking at the research that you have in your own arsenal of data to understand what's going on, that you'll start to see some patterns emerge. The next thing is on the rise is inferior fraud detection solutions. It's a SaaS-based business model, which is sexy to a lot of businesses. So companies are putting together these types of services, going out to market and selling it, collecting clients, and you're running into issues. I can't tell you how many people I talked to this week just alone having problems with a solution that they bought, and they bought it because it was cheap. And cheap solutions aren't necessarily the best solution. So what's interesting is one of the things you can do when you're vetting out a fraud solution is to see if they're following the industry standards. About a dozen years ago, the MRC, which is the Media Rating Council, in connection with the IAB, the Internet Advertising Bureau, put together a set of standards and said, if you're going to be a fraud detection company, these are the standards you should follow. These are the things you should be doing. And they actually put a certification process behind it. Two organizations that do the third-party certification is the MRC and TAG. Both use the same standards. Standards are updated on a quarterly basis. And out of all the companies that are out there doing some type of fraud detection, there's only 8 that are actually certified to follow those standards. So when you're vetting out a company, you want to see that they're doing something right. They're following a set of standards that have been set for more than a dozen years. The next thing you want to do if you're testing out a fraud solution that you want to bring in-house is test their accuracy. The last thing you want to do is put a technology in place to start judging your traffic and telling you what to do with your traffic and find out that it's wrong. Through our testing, we have found that on average, there are 15% false positives on the general companies that are out in the marketplace. So if you look at $100,000 in spend, that's taking $4,000 of your marketing budget and just tossing it out the window. And it's good traffic. That's the last thing you want to be doing. So accuracy is paramount. Test the data, run a couple companies, look at your back-end results and see which one meets your criteria. There's also an organization that's heavy in the lead generation space right now called Reach. They're setting standards to help improve the economy for consumers as well as businesses. And they have a requirement in there that requires you to use a certified fraud solution. So these are the kind of things you want to look for if you're looking at a fraud solution, because these things are popping up every day. I find another competitor in the marketplace putting together some type of technology and it's not following standards. When I hear people signing up for these things, I'm getting some interesting information. So be aware for these as they're popping up more and more this year. Again, what to look for is false positives. Test it yourself. Have your team run through the code as far as running through their testing environment and see if you're getting blocked. A lot of people will do IP blocking, right? So what they're doing is they're looking at an IP address, and if they feel the IP address is not good, they block the entire IP address. I mean, look at a conference that we're at today. 6,500 people are out there using the Wi-Fi, and if there's enough noise on that IP address, someone blocks the entire conference, and now no one can see your web asset. That's a problem. So false positives are a big thing in the industry. These are the things you got to look for. Human fraud farms, they've been around for a long time. They used to be known as click farms. We're calling them human fraud farms because they do a lot more than just clicking on ads. They're doing impressions, clicks, lead gen, phone calls, making purchases with stolen credit cards. They're very inexpensive to hire. They're about $9 an hour anywhere in the world. They have all the latest and greatest tools to using residential proxies to spoof their IP addresses, ways to spoof their devices so they can make it look like somebody coming from all over the world. They'll get around CAPTCHAs. If you're using video recording systems, they look like they're human people because they are. So, and this is very, very tricky to catch because they're real people. Most bot detection software claims we're bot detection software. So they can see the patterns, they can see all that stuff, but when a human is involved, it gets more and more difficult to identify them. Again, what to look for: low conversions, chargebacks on credit cards, bad information on phone calls. It's really just follow the money. The next thing is the regulatory changes. Obviously, in the lead generation space, they've just had the SEC came out with some new rulings that's going to take effect right now, as it looks, probably February of 2025. And the biggest thing you got to look for is, how do you stay up on what's happening? Look at the changes that are coming, and every industry has this. But in the lead generation space, I've got 2 good resources up here: reachmbc.com, tcpaworld.com, where they're constantly reporting on the changes, what's happening, what's being done about it, so that you can be prepared for it. Essentially what you want to do for, and this is what to look for, is if you're in an industry, you want to look for some type of organization that you can plug into to understand what's going on, so you can stay ahead of it. You know, as long as you stay ahead of it, you can keep yourself protected from having any regulatory issues. And this is one of the things to really look for, because with the new regulations for lead gen, we're expecting to see some for the other industries as well. That's my time for today. Any questions?
So with like the fraud stuff, is that mainly for you doing your own media buying on like all of the sort of like DSPs? Is this mainly working with like lead gen affiliates? Like, where are you seeing like the biggest need for this solution, for these solutions?
Gotcha. So the biggest need for the solutions is really any media that you're buying. So it could be Google, Facebook, it could be all those events, it could be native, it could be email marketing. Programmatic has got one of the highest rates of fraud, topping 50% fraud on just programmatic. Affiliates. So pretty much every channel that you're spending money on, fraud exists. So you want to be able to take a look at all those channels, identify where the fraud is coming, eliminate it from your budget, so you can take that, reinvest it back into real people, and see a nice improvement in ROI. To give you an example, on average, we're catching 25% of all paid marketing is fraudulent. Each channel has different levels. Affiliates are up there, 45%. Google and Facebook a little on the light side, 5-10%, but it's all eating into your ROI. So if you can identify it and eliminate it, you can improve your ROI.
And on that, like, what is typically the process of like Google or Facebook? Once you say like, oh shoot, actually 5% of my Facebook traffic is fraudulent, like how do people usually take action on that?
Gotcha. There's a couple different ways of taking action, and every action you take could be different for every marketing channel. So what kind of action would you take with like a Google or Facebook? Again, these are big companies that don't like dictating how they bill their clients. So there are ways of actually tapping into their technology and targeting technology to eliminate those from your buys. So as you eliminate those from your buys, you'll slowly start to see that percentage drop and your ROI go up. But again, every channel, every media placement that you make is going to have a different way of working with it.
Awesome, thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you for your time.